I was beaming in his beamer, just beaming. Can't believe that I caught my man cheating. So I found another way to make him pay for it all. So I went to Neiman Marcus on a shopping spree, and on the way grabbed Soleil and Mia. And as the cash box rang, I threw everything away.
That was the Carolina Chocolate Drops with their interpretation of Blue Cantrell's Hit 'em Up style. The song is from their album Genuine-Negro-Jig, which is nominated for a Best Traditional Folk Album Grammy. 3 members of the group are here with me in the studio today: Rhiannon Giddens, Don Flemons, and Hubby Jenkins. Welcome to the Michael Eric Dyson Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
As you guys were starting and creating this band, how do you guys navigate kind of that boundary where banjo music has definitely a particular type of connotation in modern America? There's definitely stereotypes about who's playing it and why. And here you are blowing through these stereotypes in various ways, not only just by your identities for who you are and what you look like and what type of music you're performing, but also the things that you just use to perform and your covers. So you talk a little bit about kind of like the stereotype that you found of playing this very traditional form of American folk music, even in and outside of the community.
Well, there's 2 levels that music is disseminated to the public. There's commercial music, so that's music you hear on the radio, and then there's folk music, which, to make it very broad, is any music that someone might do, you know, and that could be any type of music. And so there's a back and forth that happens a lot with those 2 types of music. And so the more you delve into the older music, and when you take it out of a nostalgic point of view and say, oh, this is old music from an older time, and you try to make it into a through line to this is how people listen to music and how they do music, then the music opens up in a whole nother way. Just because it can be relevant, even if it may be 100 years old, it can still be relevant just because it's music that one likes and one wants to do.
I mean, honestly, just being who we are, like being people of color playing this music, we don't even have to talk about it right there. You know, it makes people go, wait a minute, you know, and then we do talk a little bit about the history, because we found that people kept asking, so why are y'all playing this kind of music? Well, I mean, first of all, we should be able to play it if we want to, even if we had no history in it. And second of all, there is all this history, and look at this amazing stuff, you know. So it's just kind of developed out of the ignorance that I had, you know, that we all had when we started out. We've all learned a lot about how the black community had such a big part in this music and in banjo playing. And so that's one of the reasons why we do a lot of school programs, because it's like, for a black kid to see a black person playing the banjo, that's volumes over somebody just telling them, oh, black people used to play the banjo. I mean, if they actually see it, that's a visceral connection that they can't get any other way. So we think that's really important.
Yeah.
And did that influence your choice of title? Because, I mean, you called your album Genuine-Negro-Jig. Talk a little bit about the naming of that naming process.
Now that's just the name of one of the tracks on the album, called Snowden's Jig, and that was the original title for it on the sheet music. And so this is kind of how deep this sort of journey we've gone on goes. A fellow named Bob Winans, who actually lives around here, he's a minstrel banjo scholar. We've known him since the Black Banjo Gathering. He and a good friend of his, Greg Adams, they came to one of our shows, and Bob introduced this tune, a Genuine-Negro-Jig, to both Rhiannon and myself. We start performing it, and it was written down by a fellow named Dan Emmett, who is one of the main musicians for a group called the Virginia Minstrels, who were the first blackface troupe to make the quartet style of blackface minstrel music, which is the fiddle and the banjo and the tambourine and the bones. And so they were the first band to go international. They took it over to England, sparked a whole revolution, sparked a revolution back here in the States too.
And I'll say a lot of those minstrel musicians actually got, you know, some of their music from black musicians. And so, you know, the assumption is, of course we can't know for sure because we can't go back in time, but the assumption is that since he wrote it down as Genuine-Negro-Jig, that he actually got it from a black source. And there happened to be this black banjo and fiddle family who lived right down the road from him that was well known as a source of tunes. They were the only black family in the area, so, you know, it's a good assumption that that's where he would have gotten this tune. So we just thought, there's so much history there, it's really the history of American music and kind of encapsulated, so we thought that's a great, you know, title for the album.
I've been speaking with members of the Grammy-nominated Carolina Chocolate Drops, whose album, Genuine-Negro-Jig, is nominated for a Best Traditional Folk Album Grammy. Rhiannon, Dom, and Hubby, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
And best of luck on Sunday. That's it for the Michael Eric Dyson Show. I'm Latoya Peterson, filling in for Dr. Dyson. Our show is produced and distributed by WEAA-FM on the campus of the historic Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, and with funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.